Welcome to the February meeting of the Tourist Development Council. We'll call this meeting to order, and let's have roll call. And before we do that, it's on your microphone there. It's the button that has the person. You push that, it'll light up red. I would ask you to make sure that you turn it off when you're done talking, because we're still working out the sound in this room. It's a little echoey when there's more than one microphone on.
Clyde Smith, Bilmar Beach Resort, Treasure Island.
Julie Ward-Pajelski, Mayor of the Great City of Dunedin.
Good morning, Doreen Moore, Travel Resort Services, TRS.
Clearwater Mayor Frank Hibbard.
Russ Kimball, Sheraton Sankey, Clearwater Beach.
Good morning, everyone. Steve Hayes with Visit St. Pete, Clearwater.
Good morning, Michael Zoss, County Attorney's Office.
Good morning, everyone. Ken Welch, City of St. Petersburg. I got that right.
Good morning, Mike Williams, Innisbrook Golf Resort.
Good morning, Tricia Rodriguez, the Tropics Boat Tours and the Clearwater Ferry.
Good morning, Phil Henderson, Starlight Cruises, South Pasadena, Madeira Beach, and Clearwater.
Wonderful. Glad that you're all with us. And Mayor Welch, we're excited that you're joining us on the TDC. I'm sorry that you had to park outside today.
But you did sit next to the attorney. So.
Yes, sir. We're taking care of you. We had a lot of excitement in the last few days. We had the St. Pete Chamber annual event, the Clearwater Chamber annual event, the Tampa Bay Beaches annual event, St. Pete EDC's annual announcements, the ARC Innovation Center groundbreaking yesterday. So a lot of exciting things happening in our county. We're going to hear about more things today. So we are ready to roll on this exciting day. This is the Palm Room. This is a brand new room for us, conversion of some old meeting space and offices in this building. That still gives us some space to spread out and more chairs for larger boards like this one. So $72 million, but I hope you think it was well worth. No, just kidding. Just wanted to see if you were awake this morning. But it gives us some opportunity to spread out and have larger meetings without being cramped in the assembly room. So we're excited to have this opportunity. Let's move right ahead to item number 4, the approval of TDC minutes. Are there adjustments or is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Rodriguez, second by Mayor Hibbard. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item number 5, public comments. Are there public comments? General public comments? Seeing none, we'll move right into our industry presentations. Mr. Hayes, get us going.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And our first presentation we have today is from the Woodson African American Museum of Florida. We have with us Terry Lipsey Scott, who's the executive director of the museum, as well as Duggan Cooley, who's the CEO of Pinellas Community Foundation, to make a presentation. I think it's great that we get to hear of some exciting things that they're doing in terms of the museum, especially as we start really growing the arts and culture message that we have for our community. So welcome, glad to have you here and look forward to hearing more.
Good morning, all. Again, I'm Terry Lipsey Scott. I'm the Executive Director of the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum, currently known as the Woodson African American Museum of Florida. We are proud to stand before you today. With a 16-year history here in the city of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County, we have certainly built a wonderful foundation for the way in which we look to grow in our county. We have some of the most extraordinary museums within the state, within the nation. Yet absent that link of extraordinary chain of museums is a proper built African American museum. It is time now for us to look deep within ourselves and recognize the need to expand our culture, our history, and how critically important it is to be all-inclusive, not only in our city, in our county, but in our state. Throughout the state of Florida, there is not one purpose-built African American museum. Every new African American museum throughout the state is a retrofitted building. Some old school, some old church, some old house, some old community center. And it limits our opportunity to bring to our city, our state, our county, award-winning, acclaimed opportunities of exhibitions. We deserve better here in our county, our city, and our state. And we're hopeful to intrigue the interest of you in a desire to build upon this mission to create Florida's first built African-American museum. We have a story that is rarely told, and many of you are very familiar with, and some not at all. The Woodson began its humble beginnings in the Jordan Park Public Housing Community Center. It was in the late 1990s that a horrific riot took place in the city of St. Petersburg. And then President Clinton sent Henry Cisneros here, the Secretary of Housing, in order to determine ways in which they might enhance the living conditions for those in Southside St. Petersburg. And as a result thereof, a Hope 6 grant was awarded the St. Petersburg Housing Authority. In redeveloping this more than 30-year-old housing complex, the residents of that community decided they wanted a place that they can preserve, present, and interpret African-American history. And I can't say it enough. The least of those sacrificed the most in giving up their community center in order that we might have a space that we're calling an African-American museum. Those in public housing decided we won't have a community center because it's so important that we begin preserving and presenting the African-American history and telling the story. And with that, we have grown expeditiously. Our programming is some of the most robust throughout the Southeast region. We have been recognized as one of the most to see African-American museums, believe it or not, in that small space. We've had buses come from as far as Atlanta, South Florida, all with a desire to embrace that African-American history and culture. But it's time now that we elevate the presence of the Woodson Museum and telling too many untold stories. With me today, I am grateful to present to you the renderings of what we hope for what we dream, for what we anticipate becoming not only an economic driver, but a hub of history for our local children and for those who are willing to travel from near and far to be a part of so many untold stories. This 30,500 square foot museum will activate 22nd Street South, which is the most historic African-American corridor within the city of St. Petersburg. As you can see, this frontage is that of 22nd Street, affectionately known as the Deuces. This building will be all-encompassing for so many reasons. It will have multifunctional purposes. The space will include a justice center, along with 3 extraordinary galleries, where we can then begin to look at ways in which we can build, again, the presentation of the African-American story. Our desire is to become an affiliate of the Smithsonian. We see ourselves as the Smithsonian of the South. Dream with me. Dream with me. We can do this. The outdoor space will be amazing. It will serve in so many different capacities for a community that lacks the ability to host events right in the heart of the city of St. Petersburg. There'll be a healing garden. The forum itself will include functions for a profit center, event space, and so much more. We're excited about the opportunity of what we will be able to build together in creating a dynamic exhibition platform for, again, not just our city and county, but for the state and beyond. This, in fact, is what we're hopeful for, inclusive of gift shops, visitor centers. There is so much that we have to offer within our city, within our state, within our county, and we're hopeful that you will embrace the ideas that we're hopeful for. Currently, we have before our state legislators as I remain hopeful and prayerful, there's an opportunity for a $5 million appropriation. It is indeed one of the cornerstones of what our current mayor is in fact working hard toward. We have local legislators in that space working hard to create this dream for our city, our state, our county.
Good morning. Terry tells an incredibly inspirational story about the history of the Woodson, and I think the future that's coming alive, the expansion of the Woodson, is incredible for our community. The Pinellas Community Foundation has agreed to work with the Woodson and helping them with their capital campaign and bringing along any support that the foundation can bring to the effort, connections, helping them with the gift processing, helping them with their campaign work, and we're proud to be a part of this. I'll go ahead a little bit to let you know a little bit more about the total campaign. The capital campaign has been well designed. It has a total campaign budget of $26.5 million. That includes the construction, the design, the build, the construction of the museum itself at $18.5 million, but also includes an endowment for programming and staff, and then another $3 million for the first 3 years of operational costs of the museum, knowing that the museum is going to grow in size, in staff, and in its stature in the community. So the campaign has been very well designed to make sure that the museum internally grows at the same rate and has the ability to grow as the building itself. I also want to just take a moment to recognize we have Charlie Gertis and we also have Lorna Taylor here, who are two members of the campaign committee. There is an active campaign committee that is doing incredible work to raise money in the community. The goals as of the end of last year were reached, the private fundraising goals, and now I think as of today we're at about $2.8 million and right on target with where we need to be. Terry and the museum helped launch an Invest in Black History campaign for the month of February that has gotten a tremendous amount of attention. It's almost like a day does not go by where there isn't interest in helping the museum to grow into its new footprint. And a lot of this was launched in great thanks to the city of St. Petersburg with 5.5 acres of land for the museum and $1 million funds to get started and provide the support necessary to get started into the campaign. In addition to that, we have other foundations that are coming forward to help with the financial, provide capacity building, financial assistance to the campaign and to the museum, which in itself is often rare to find operating dollars like that as an organization is going through a campaign like this. So there is an incredible amount of community support and interest in helping to see this museum rise right on 22nd Street South in St. Petersburg. Just so you see the source of funds, the anticipated source of funds, the belief is that about $9 million will come from governments of a variety of types, about $5.5 million from individuals, $3 million from foundations, and then another $9 million from corporations, not only in the community but throughout the country. So the campaign has a diverse anticipated funding base as well. And I'll let Terry talk a little bit about the architects, and then we'll leave room for questions.
Thank you so much. And our desire to make certain that we were creating something significant, something just breathtaking, and something that would leave a lasting memory in the minds of those who visit. We, in partnership with the city of St. Petersburg, were able to capture the design architect, Mario Gooden, out of New York, who has just done an extraordinary job, as you might see, in creating a fabulous rendering for this extraordinary opportunity with us. And he's doing so in partnership with the local architect, Jason Jensen, Wanamaker Jensen Architects. I will say to you this morning, I plead with you for your desire to want to be a part of a legacy, that there may be a desire that you would want to have your fingerprints as a part of doing something extraordinary. I ask that you not consider comparing this effort to any other. Prior to baseball coming to St. Petersburg, there was nothing to compare bringing baseball to St. Petersburg to. There was no Major League Baseball stadium in our area. There is no African American museum in our city, in our county, in our state that will rise to the level of support, tourism, education that we deserve here in our county, in our city, in our state. And with that, I'm grateful to be standing among some of the most extraordinary individuals in our city, county, and state, the likes of Miss Lorna Taylor, that of Charlie Gertis, that of Duggan Cooley, and many others who have lined up with us to ensure that this dream becomes a reality. Join us in making this dream a reality and no longer having this dream deferred. We thank you so much for your time this morning. Are there any questions?
Are there questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Mayor Welch,
So do we raise hands, or is there a talk button? Or
just raise hands.
button? Okay. I love your tech, Mr. Chairman. Terry and Duggan, although I can't see you clearly through 3 levels of glass here, it's great to see y'all, and Charlie and Lorna, good to see y'all as well. And this is my very first statement at my first TDC meeting, so I didn't plan it this way, but I certainly hope that we can support this effort going forward. I know we have processes that we need to go through, and I understand that, but this reminds me, and I look at Russ and some other folks who have been here for a while, it reminds me of the first time the Dolly came to us. And we didn't have a process for it, we didn't have procedures for it, but it just seemed like it made sense. And that was $2.5 million, I think, when the Dolly first came. And then they came back, and now we've added another $17 million to that. When I look at the opportunity for cultural tourism, when I look at the opportunity for recognizing history, which is really important, and in St. Pete, it's important because of the gas plant and the trop and now the redevelopment, all those issues have come up. Even the issues of buried graves, which we have across the county and here in Clearwater as well. You know, history really matters right now. And I do think there is a real cultural tourism tie-in with all the other museums that we have. I don't think that Terry mentioned the Reverberations exhibit that was held at the James Museum in downtown St. Pete, and it was a runaway hit. And I think it moved on to Tampa after that. I think this area of cultural tourism, particularly with an African American History Museum, will be wildly successful. Saw Mayor Hibbard when we were up in Tallahassee last week talking with our legislative leaders. I can tell you this is part of St. Pete's priorities. Spoke with President Simpson, Speaker Sprouse, and our entire delegation. They are very supportive of this. And when it gets to the point that we can discuss it, I really want us to consider supporting this from the TDC as well. I think, and I know y'all didn't come here to make an ask today, but in that pie chart, there was 9 million from governments. I presume your ask will be some portion of that 9 million. We're asking 5 million from the state. I'm certainly going to step up with the city of St. Pete. I don't know if you mentioned the private donations you've already received. I think you received $1 million private donation. Duke Energy stepped up. And so everyone's coming together, and I think our TDC should be a part of this going forward. And I look forward to that discussion. Thank y'all for being here, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mayor?
Steve, can you tell us what the process will be and when that might happen?
Yes, Mayor. In fact, I was going to have that a little bit under my report, but I'll just address it now. So for the March meeting, so next month is, I think you guys remember, was it 3 months ago, we had a brief discussion on capital, and we had some, what I'll call just some cleanup in the language for the guidelines. But basically to come back and we still had some work to do with that. So in March, we're going to start having that conversation, much like we did with the lead events, where we can come back and make some suggestions, have that discussion amongst ourselves, and then go through, clean it up again, and then be able to take that forward to the BCC once this group, and this is all for the guidelines. And then really, which gets down to the process, and then from there, get the BCC to approve it. From there, comes back, and then we can go out and let people know that this process is open.
So it'll be sometime this summer then?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? You did that great a job. I would tell you that if the architecture is as good as the design of this folder, this is one of the nicest folders I've ever seen in my life for a presentation. But we're really excited to hear about what's going on and look forward to moving through the process with you all. And Councilmember Gertis, always wonderful to have you in the building, sir.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I'd just like to say thank you to all of you for your time, and we look forward to welcoming you to our current location. Black History Month at the Woodson is every month. So please, don't feel that if you don't make it there this month, that we'll go away. We won't. We're there for the long haul. And I'd also like to thank you for your time, and especially to Lee Davis for helping me navigate this path and being here today. Thank you all so very, very much.
And just one request of all of you, everyone has a packet, as Chairman Justice mentioned, nicely done. Please don't let that sit on a desk or go in a folder. Take the time to read it, but more than that, take the time to share that with somebody and invite them to join the vision and join our quest in this community to have the first purpose-built African American History Museum in the state of Florida. Thank you all for your time today, and we very much invite you to share the message.
Thank you, Mr. Cooley. Thank you, Ms. Scott, for being here. We appreciate your time this morning. All right, item number 7, Elite Event Guidelines. Mr. Hayes.
Actually, Mr. Chair, we have one more industry presentation, and then we'll get to the elite event.
Absolutely right.
And on this, as I teased you guys last month, we have Destination Analyst here, and Dave Bratton is the founder and managing director of Destination Analysts, and he actually has 4 presentations within one. So, but he's told me that, again, while there's a lot of great information here that he wants to convey, it's not going to be 3 or 4 hours, just because I got to stick to the chair's time schedule here. So, but Dave's got a lot of great information that I think you guys will enjoy. And Dave, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you all for having me here today. Good morning. I'm always thrilled to be in this part of the world. It's such a treat. I live out in California, and things are so different here and lovely. Enjoy every minute I'm here, so thank you. As Steve said, I've got 4 research presentations to present to you today in 40 minutes. So I'm going to be quick. I'll move through it expeditiously as possible, but hopefully I can explain to you what we found in these 4 studies. And the findings are fairly simple. The 4 studies I'm going to show you today are the current traveler sentiment, basically how Americans are feeling about travel right now. We're going to look at the 2021 St. Pete Clearwater visitor profile. We're going to look at a website usability study that we did for you guys. And then we're going to look at a brand perception study we did as well. And in short, what I'm going to tell you is that travelers right now are feeling really good about travel, better than they felt at any point during the pandemic. That your visitor profile is very strong, and the economic impact of tourism to Pinellas County this last year was fantastic. Your website's working really well to attract people and get them spending while they're here, and your brand is strong. So let's go through all of this. And you have to forgive me, my eyes are terrible, so if I can't see this, I may have to turn around and look behind me as we go. The current traveler sentiment. I'm going to show you first some data from the CDC on how the pandemic is going. And you can see, actually, let me start first with a little background on where the data I'm going to show you from our survey comes from. From the beginning of the pandemic, we'd been doing a weekly survey of American traveler sentiment. How are people feeling right now about the pandemic and getting out on the road and all? 1,200, it's a nationally representative sample of 1,200 American travelers. And so you can have a lot of faith in the data that I'm going to show you today in terms of a large sample size. But back to the CDC data, you can see here the course of the pandemic from start to finish in terms of the number of daily cases around the United States. We had our pre-vaccine wave, we had the Delta wave, and then this latest Omicron wave where things went way out of control for a while. But you can see the red line there, which is the 7-day rolling average of number of cases, has dropped dramatically recently, which has created this amazing lift we see in traveler sentiment. The number of deaths in the country as a result of this follows a similar pattern. And it tends to lag about 2 weeks behind the cases. So cases are dropping, and right now we're starting to see that turnaround in deaths as well. So how does that play out in traveler sentiment? You can see here, this shows you, we ask on an 11-point scale how concerned you are right now about contracting the virus. And you can see that this has been fairly constant throughout the course of the pandemic, with a good drop last summer when people started to get vaccines and the transmission around the country dropped. It went up again with the latest two waves, but if you can see over at the right, the orange bar here, which shows the percent of American travelers who are feeling an elevated level of concern, has dropped quite a bit over the last month and a half. We asked them in this survey, too, how do you feel about the next month? Do you think things are going to get worse, get better, stay the same? And we can see right now 51% of travelers think things are going to get better in the next month. Only about 10 or 11% think things are going to get worse. So let's look at that over time, how that's evolved. And I'm going to show you the top 2 here, the people that think it's going to get better, the 51.2%. And you can see if you look, this shows the entire course of the pandemic. If you look over at the right, we've had a massive lift in the number of people who feel this next month is going to be a much better month for the pandemic. If I throw in the orange line, that's the opposite. People who feel things are going to get worse, and that's been dropping sharply. Right now, about 85% of travelers are ready to travel. There's about 30% of them feel some hesitation, but by and large, most travelers are ready to get out on the road and travel, and that's at a record level right now. In our survey, we test a variety of different activities that people do when they travel, and you can see them listed up there on the right, from taking a road trip, which is perceived as being relatively safe, down to taking bus trips, which is perceived as being relatively more dangerous right now. If we take an average of all of those different activities, and what you're looking at here is the proportion that say they think it's somewhat safe or safe right now. We'd be at about 51.3%. So let's look at how that average has evolved over the course of the pandemic. You can see overall, throughout the 2 years we've been at this, we've been increasing in how we feel about the safety of these various travel activities. And over the last couple of months, we've seen a sharp lift again in perceived safety. The flip side of that, those that feel it's becoming less safe to do these activities, is dropping. Right now, about 52% of travelers feel confident or very confident that they can travel safely. And if you look over at the right, you can see that that's been growing sharply as well over the last several waves of our survey. People are also more open to receiving travel information. We ask, well, how open are you to hearing about new exciting things to do while you travel or new destinations on it? Again, an 11-point scale from not at all open to very open. And we see more openness to travel messaging right now as well. And finally, the biggie, how excited are you about travel in the next 12 months? Well, 80.9% on that same 11-point scale, where the higher up you are, the more excited you are, feel some elevated level of excitement about travel right now. And let's look at that over time. Same story. In the last several months, we've had a really sharp rise in excitement to travel, and in fact, we're at a pandemic record. So we can say with confidence that right now people are more excited than they've been in the last 2 years to get out on the road, and more of them are excited and willing to do it and feel safer doing it. So really good news for the travel industry. Really more good news for you guys. We ask an open-ended question on our survey. Well, where do you most want to go in the United States this year? You can write in any 5 places you want to go. What do you think is number one? Well, number one is Florida. Yeah, Miami and Orlando are down there too, highlighted as well. So travelers are feeling good, and where do they want to go? Well, a lot of them want to come here, which is fantastic news. And also when we ask them what their types of destinations they're most into, on a scale from I love it to I hate it, you see the percent here that say they like or love each type. The number one are beach resorts or destinations. So it all looks pretty good at this point from the high level for your destination. Okay. Let's talk about who's coming here. In 2021 and in earlier years too, we've been conducting a visitor profile and economic impact study for your organization. Now, I'll tell you how we do it here in 5 quick steps. We collect a lot of primary data, and Stephanie, who you're seeing over here sitting with my colleague, she has a team of people out working year-round for 12 months, interviewing people at 20 different destinations around the county and conducting an intercept survey where we talk to them about where they're from, what they're doing, what they're spending, why they're here, how they're feeling. And during the course of the year, we talked to 1,600 different travelers, a random sample of, as random as we can get, of people who come to the county. And then we put that all into our economic impact model and run it through what's called an in-plan model, which is kind of the industry standard for developing economic impact estimates. And I'm going to show you those first because it's a very good story. Last year, we estimate that we had almost 15 million visitors to Pinellas County. Most of them were day trippers, people who came from the immediate region or travelers to the state who came in for the day. But you can see up on the right, the number of hotel guests is significant. What's interesting about this is up 18.8% from the year before, from 2020. Obviously, not hard to beat 2020 for any destination, but a good improvement. What's really interesting, though, is that the hotel guests and people who stay in other lodgings spend a lot more than the day trippers. So when we look at spending, we can see that about half of the $5.5 billion that we estimate travelers spend in the county come from hotel guests. Another big chunk, as you can see on the left side there, are vacation rentals. So most of the money coming into the county comes from people who stay in paid lodging. And this is up 53.4%. We can switch this around a bit and look at what kind of spending it was. And you can see here that the biggest components are, of course, lodging, restaurants, and retail, so that your travelers are out spending in all sorts of businesses in the county. Now, here's where the math gets kind of interesting. When we use this in-plan model to develop what we call multipliers, and you probably all remember that from your economics classes. If I come to this county from outside and I spend money, we consider that an injection of new money into the county. But it doesn't stop there. The economic boost that spending creates doesn't stop there. We have what we call multipliers. So I stayed in a hotel last night. They may farm out some of the things that are needed for that, like the linens on my bed. They may give that to another company to do. So that money continues to work to lift the economy it creates income as well for people who work in the hotel. That income they take out, they may save some of it, they may spend some of it in the county, they may send some of it outside the county. That part that's included in the county is also an additional lift. So we put it into what's called an input-output model, which kind of looks at all the different segments of the economy and how they interact with each other. And what we come up with, last year, the estimated economic impact of all that direct, that $5.5 billion in spending, is $9 billion in total for the county. Now, that kind of spending is going to create a lot of tax dollars. You can see the taxes generated for the county last year are $382 million, up 60% from the year before. So, tremendous improvement from the main year of the pandemic, but there's some more counts here that we need to talk about. $2.9 billion in visitor industry payroll and 91,000 jobs supported by this spending. So one thing to think about when you think about these jobs, though, they may not necessarily be in the county. They're just jobs that were developed, that were supported by that spending across all different industries and such. So, but in any event, it creates a lot of jobs, obviously. So that's the economic side of it, but the other part of this project is kind of trying to paint a picture of who's coming here, so you can understand who you're marketing to, who you're servicing as businesses in the industry. I'm going to go through these slides quickly. I'll go on the left side, then the right side. You can see the primary reason for coming to the county is typically a leisure-oriented person, 50% coming for vacation, and important reasons to visit tend to be, as you can see, beaches that suit my taste. A lot of people come here for the beaches, obviously. Planning resources that they use. We ask a question on the survey where we look at what resources they use to plan their trip before they arrive, and then what are they using while they're here. And you can see the first thing is that most travel planning occurs before people arrive, right? But when you look at the top three here, which are user-generated content, social media, and then the opinions of friends or relatives, the story's pretty clear. And it's something we've known as travel marketers forever, that most of planning goes on person to person. We're listening to each other about destinations we want to go to, whether it's through user-generated content, social media, or face-to-face over the dinner table with our friends and relatives. Those are the biggies for it, and it really highlights the tremendous importance of giving people a really good experience while they're here in your destination. And I'm going to show you some data on that in a minute, that you're doing an A++ job on making people happy while they're here. Most of the travel to the destination is by car, and most people are getting around by car, although there's a very significant segment that comes from air. On days in market, the average is about 3 days. But if you look down at the bottom, you'll see that hotel guests stay an average of 5.1 days in market, so longer for the people who are staying in paid lodging. Another factor for why their piece of the pie in terms of economic impact is so large. On the right-hand side, you can see the spending that they do, a tremendous amount per day. The average party size is 2.4 people, which gives us an estimate basically of $112, per person per day while they're here, be them a hotel guest, a day tripper, or whatever. Okay, attractions visited. You can see the top attractions there and the communities that they visited as well. So we can see that travelers to the county are getting out and seeing all sorts of different parts of your county, going to a variety of different communities. Past visitation is interesting. About 1 in 4 are first-time visitors, so 3 out of 4 are repeat visitors. And interestingly, the average number of past visits they report is 9.3, so people are very familiar, obviously, with your product. A little bit different for hotel guests, and one of the nuances in this is that people who are staying with friends and relatives and day trippers tend to have a lot of repeat visitation. They tend to know the place well, and they've come many, many times, driving up that mean score. Your hotel guests a little less, but still, 5.1 trips is quite a lot. And then look over at their overall satisfaction with their experience here. Practically everyone reported that they're, what are we saying, very satisfied or satisfied with their experience here. We've conducted this type of research for destinations all over the country, And I've never seen one this high. This is extraordinary, and you should all pat yourselves on the back. Don't get complacent, obviously, but people are satisfied with what they're getting out of your product. What they most like, of course, beaches. And when we ask them, well, what would you change about your experience here or about the destination? Most commonly, they say nothing. Very few people really had ideas for ways to make it substantially better a travel experience. And then we get to the likelihood to recommend and the likelihood to return on a 10-point scale. You can see the average there too. So pretty much everyone we surveyed of the 1,600 people gave you an A+, that they would recommend it as a destination to visit, and they would be excited to come back. Your demographic profile is solid, as you can see here. Average age in the 40s, 107,000 average income, more than twice the national average for a family. Relatively diverse group of people, skews slightly female, and a significant LGBTQ and other size group in terms of orientation there. And interestingly, this year, we had a lot more people who came from outside Florida, which you would expect as the economy's been opening up more and more from the pandemic than we saw in 2020. Okay, so that's the end of the visitor profile. Let's move on to number 3, which is our website conversion study. And what do I mean by that? Well, most DMOs, destination marketing organizations, have a website which is their primary tool for attracting people to visit, to informing them and getting them to come to the place. Super important in this world we're living in. And so we developed a process maybe 18 years ago for the islands of Fiji to try and estimate the economic impact of a website to a destination. I'm going to spend a minute to explain how we do this, but what you're going to see here is that your website's working very effectively in short. And what we do is a 2-part process. It's 2 surveys. First, when you come to the website, you're given a little pop-up and asked to take a brief survey, which asks you why you're there. We want to know if you're a potential visitor. Are you a business person? Are you a local resident? Are you a meeting planner? Are you part of the media? There are all sorts of people use these websites, and we want to identify these people who are potential visitors. And when are they planning to come, if they're planning to come? And most importantly, have they made up their mind to come yet? So if I'm taking a trip to Florida and I'm just cruising around looking at places to go, and I see this website for St. Pete, Clearwater, and I go, oh, that looks cool, I'm going to go there. That's the kind of person we want to count as what we're going to call an incremental visitor, somebody who had not made up their mind before they got to the website. So that's the first survey. The second one, after these people have had time to travel, for example, if you said you were most likely to come in March, at the end of March, you'd get a survey again, and we'd find out if you actually came. If you did come, what did you do? How much did you spend? And did this website, in your estimation, impact your decision in a significant way to come to the destination? So then we put them all together into one data set, basically, where we have tracked somebody from when they first came in our website to when they've come to the destination or chosen to go elsewhere. And from that, we develop estimates of spending for 2 different types of travelers. One are trips generated by the website, what I'm going to call incremental trips. These are people who had not made up their mind to come before they came to the website, who ended up coming to the website and are aware that the website affected their decision to come in a significant way. So that's the first. The second are trips that are extended by the website. So maybe I'm coming and I'm going to spend 3 days, but then I find that there's an elite event going on the 4th day, so I'm going to stay an extra day. So information I found on the website led me to stay an additional day. And in short, we put them through, I won't go through all of this with you, but I think you probably get the idea from what I've said. We put them through a filter in a sense. We start with all the website visitors, and then we filter them down to this very desired one, the person that hadn't made up their mind and ended up coming and feel the website was the reason they came. And you can see the red there at the top, just to show you kind of how conservative this model is, and it's developed to be conservative. For every 1,000 website users that came to your website during the year, 20 incremental trips were taken. So It's not a lot of people per thousand who end up being counted as an incremental trip, and 7 additional days were spent in the county as well. But the numbers get big when you multiply them by the absolute value, the number of people who use the website, because they do. There are a lot of people that use this website, 1.4 million, in fact, that we consider to be real new website users. What we do to do this is we look at repeat visitations, so we're not double counting people, and we actually drop people who we call who bounce. So if they come and look at one page and then are gone, they won't be included in this total. So again, an attempt to keep the numbers as conservative as possible. So you can see in total, we have about $60 million in incremental trips. These are people who came to St. Pete Clearwater because of the website. Another 4 million in extended trips, people who decided to stay a little longer because of information they found on the website. In total, this comes up to $46, over $46 per user of the website, so quite a good return on investment, and 225,000 room nights in hotels. So let's look at how this has changed. We've done this for 4 years in a row, and one of the benefits of this study is you can see how well things are, how your digital marketing is working. And we've done this for tons of different destinations, and I'll tell you the good thing that you're doing is that there's a lot of stability here. Your digital marketing has been very effective, and you've done it over 4 years. A lot of times these kind of bounce around because people, you know, maybe their marketing doesn't really bring the right kind of people to the website that you want, and so the metrics will fall. In any event, you can see an increase this year to $46 per user, and the total economic impact rose as well, which is great. And of course, comparing it back to 2 years ago wouldn't really be fair because those were the best of times, and we had a lot more people at the website as well. But overall, this is a fantastic outcome. I'd say the numbers compared to other destinations we do are quite solid and stable, which is kudos to your marketing team. Okay, finally, let's talk about your brand perception study. And this is a study we conducted late last year, collected data in the late summer and worked on it for a while in the fall. And the idea was to do 2 things, to kind of do a brand assessment through this survey so that Steve's marketing team and his ad agency can use that to make good decisions about where they want to place their ads, who they want to go after, you know, what kind of messaging would work best for these people. And secondly, to create benchmarks. So as you continue to build your brand over time, you know, maybe 5 years from now, you can look and say, okay, we've improved here, we haven't improved here, and understand better the effect that your work is doing on the traveling community. So what we did is we surveyed people who are 25 years or older, who had an income over 100 grand, who had taken one trip in the past 2 years of at least 50 miles, so they're travelers, and they resided in the key geographic markets that you see here. And you can see them all and the number of surveys we collected in each. Overall, the top line data I'm going to show you today is based on a survey sample of 4,000 completed surveys of people with this profile. So a huge sample. Not necessarily so huge for the individual cities, but big enough to be readable and usable for what we're going to do here. And the first thing, let me go back here. The first thing that I see when I look at this data is something that's should be very clear to everybody, I think, and that's your destination sits in a super hyper competitive market. There's so many great destinations in the southeastern United States, so many great beach destinations. You guys, you know, for what you do, you have a lot of competition. And we ask a question, a simple question, where we set it up a little bit, telling them, you know, imagine this kind of place, and we described a place like Clearwater, St. Pete Clearwater, and said, in the southeastern United States, what are the destinations you'd most like to visit who fit this profile? And I'm going to show you a word cloud of how the responses came back. First and foremost was a general idea of Florida, and then Miami, and then Savannah, Georgia, Orlando, Charleston. And you can see many, many different destinations come up here. Less than 1%, wrote in anything related to your specific destination. So keep that in mind. And one thing you don't want to confuse this with is a lack of appreciation for your brand and who you are, because you'll see that very soon. But top of mind, when we ask people in these places, well, where do you most want to go? St. Pete doesn't pop to the top immediately. Okay, this chart, I'm going to show you a variety of charts like this, so I want to take a little time to explain this one. This shows the familiarity with each destination and the excitement that people feel about the things to see and do while they're there. And as you move up on the left-hand side, you see we mean more excitement. We ask on a 5-point scale from very unexciting, basically, to very exciting. As we move up, we say more excitement, right? As we move left to right, it's more familiarity, from totally unfamiliar to extremely familiar. And you can see the different destinations here in the competitive set we tested in this chart. And the orange lines represent the average. So what you want to be, obviously, is to the right and up. You want more familiarity and more excitement with your destination. And you can see here, I'm sorry, go back, that the three at the top of that part are Miami, Orlando, and Myrtle Beach. But look where you're at here. Certainly above all the rest of the competition in the area in terms of this chart. When we asked them, well, what destinations are they interested in visiting in the region, you can see the options they were given there. You see 30-some% wrote in or selected your destination. Very similar to what most of the other destinations see here. Some higher, some lower, not massive differences between them. So that first chart I showed you, the word cloud, I wouldn't get too hung up on that because we can see that a lot of people are interested in visiting your destination. I'm going to lay over top of this the proportion of travelers that actually visited in the last couple years here. And you can see that only about 24% have actually visited your destination. The people who want, the proportion of travelers who want to visit is much higher, which is a really good thing because it shows that you're an aspirational destination, that although they may not have been there, they want to go back, similar to what you see in Myrtle Beach on the far left. The chart you see here shows actual visitation in the past year, and you can see that Orlando, Miami, and Atlanta are at the top. These are people who came to St. Pete, Clearwater. No surprise there. Travel is always regional, right? Most travelers come from closer than further in any destination anywhere in the world. You see at the far right, we have Michigan, Minneapolis, Boston, Indianapolis, and Washington, D.C. So further away, less likely to have visited. Not a real surprise there. So let's look back again at the excitement and familiarity chart, but this time we're going to look just at St. Pete, Clearwater, okay? And look at each of those destinations or each of those cities we surveyed in. And again, you're going to want to be at the right with higher familiarity and higher excitement. And you can see at the far right here, we have Nashville and Orlando. Those are the the feeder markets, I'll use that word, which have the highest perceived familiarity with what you have to offer and feel it's the most exciting. Down at the far left, we have Boston and Washington, D.C. Those are the ones with the least perceived familiarity and the least perceived excitement about coming here. And I invite you to remember those two at the bottom because they're going to come back again. And I think you can see how this data can be used by an ad agency or a marketing organization to start thinking about where you want to put your dollars. So let's move on to another chart. And this one's a little harder to understand, but let me try to explain it to you. We asked a variety of questions about each of these different things you see up here, from nightlife to transformative experiences to outdoor rec to beaches to value for the money. And we asked, well, among this set of destinations in your competitive set, which one is the best? And which one is the worst? And what we saw was that St. Pete Clearwater, in none of these, was seen as the best, and in none of it was it seen as the worst by the majority, by a majority of travelers, or by the most travelers, I'll say. So you rode right in the middle on all of them, and in terms of being the worst, you were down at the bottom, which is good. Less likely than most of the other destinations for practically all of these to have been said that you're the worst of the set. So what this chart does is, again, it takes the average as the yellow bars, and we look, you basically want to be on the right up here. You're considered to be close, more likely to be selected as the best, and less likely to be selected as the worst. So what does that say about your assets and what people think you're good at? Well, great value for the money, beaches, outdoor rec opportunities, a place for mature travelers, scenic beauty, and museums and art. Probably pretty similar to what you see yourself as, isn't it? If we look at the lower left, where you don't want to be, one-of-a-kind place, a variety of things to do, a place for younger travelers, overall visitor experience and such. Okay. So here's where we get to the appeal thing I was talking about before. Although you may not have great top-of-mind awareness, travelers in this 4,000 people we talked to sample around the country, 77% said that you were appealing on some level, and most of those that you were very appealing or an appealing destination. And let's look a little further at the appeal of St. Pete Clearwater by feeder market. Top is Orlando, Nashville, and Indianapolis. Pittsburgh, Miami, Michigan, and Atlanta, all at or around 90% of travelers, giving you that elevated appeal rating. Look further to the right, and what do we have? Boston and Washington, D.C. Remember what I said earlier about those two particular markets in that earlier chart. And let's look at this one, and this is another way of looking at this. And in this chart, we look at two factors. We asked them, well, we're going to give you a list of destination attributes, which you see them all scattered around up there. And I want you to tell me which of those are important in general to how you select where you travel. Because each of us is different, right? To me, what's important may be very different to what you think is important in terms of where you select places you go. And then we gave them the same set of destination attributes and said, well, how does St. Pete Clearwater rank? Is it good, very good, poor, very poor? And again, in this chart, you want to be at the upper right, which would indicate that the destination attribute for St. Pete is both important to how people select where they go and good or very good. So again, using that same idea of the average with the orange line, we see here that your top attributes as perceived this way as being important and good or very good are opportunities to relax, beaches that suit my taste, natural beauty, outdoor activities, restaurants and local food scene, appealing hotel resorts, and overall ambiance and atmosphere at the top. On the other end, we have place for business, meetings, conferences, local breweries, and such. So again, probably a fairly accurate representation of how most of us see the place, and certainly gives you some good direction as how to, message around getting people to come here, talking about what they feel is important and what they see as being good here. Finally, we did a quick test of several messages. What kind of messages are believable and what kind of messages are appealing. So a message might be believable, but it may not attract people, or a message might be appealing, but it's not believable. And again, using that same kind of logic, we've taken these, I think there's 6 messages here, and ranked them this way. The more believable on the right, on the upper part of the chart, the more appealing on the right. And the winner of the 6 messages that we tested was 35 miles of pristine coastline with warm, gentle Gulf waters and gorgeous sunsets. Who wouldn't love that, right? The other one in this upper half, award-winning destinations, rated one of TripAdvisor's America's best beaches and Condé Nast's top U.S. cities. So those 2 were the best scorers out of the 6 that we tested. And since we talked about, I'm going to go back a slide, talked about the coronavirus pandemic at the start, I just want to point out one thing to you here, which was interesting and I forgot. When we look at that the destination brand attributes, the good, bad versus importance, you'll notice that COVID health and safety protocols down there at the bottom are ranked as important but poor or not as good for the destination. So you should keep that in mind because as we've seen from our data earlier, most travelers are concerned about their health. We may not show it when we're out having fun, but it's on people's minds regardless. And we definitely want to keep people feeling safe in your community. So one takeaway regarding to that. So now I've got myself all mixed up here, sorry. So that is it for me today. Thank you guys. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mayor Hibbard.
Thank you for the great report. Just a couple quick questions. You're showing the statistics on people feeling safer. Is it that they feel safer, or is it fatigue from COVID?
I think it's a little bit of both. We're wanting to get out. I mean, everybody wants to travel. And, you tell somebody they can't do something long enough, what do they want to do? They want to do it, right? Just basic psychology. But we've done a ton of interviews of travelers and people are concerned. I mean, we may put on a tough face and we're not afraid, but nobody wants to get sick, Nobody does. So there's always that, and we are tired of it too. I mean, people want to get out, and maybe they're willing to take a little more risk as a result. So.
And you point out that it's a dynamite report, which I think it is, but are there any best practices around the country that we're not following that we should institute? And should we focus on accentuating all of the positive attributes that people associate with our region, or do we work on some of the negatives?
Yeah, my sense as a marketer would be to focus on the positive. Although I went back to that point on the coronavirus because I think it's important. And like my hometown of San Francisco has just been beaten in the media by talk of homelessness. And if they don't deal with it, I don't even know what's going to happen. I mean, it's such a great city, but it's got this problem, and you can't just sweep it under the rug. And I think the officials there and their tourism marketing community understand that, and they're trying to do what they can. And similarly, Florida has a reputation around COVID, earned or not, that I think you need to own and deal with. That's the only thing up here that seemed very negative, if you want to use that word. Does that answer your question?
And any other best practices, though?
Yeah.
That you don't see us implementing?
Gosh, that you don't implement. I'd have to think about that. I don't see any off. Yeah.
Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your presentation. As we all know, there's a little bit of inflation going on. So I was curious if you had any of those conversations or if you have any insight on how you feel that is going to affect the travel industry in the next year.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we've asked in our sentiment study around it, and there is 20 to 30% of travelers who feel that inflation is keeping them from traveling. So it's definitely a headwind, I'd say. Which is stronger, the need to travel, the excitement to get back out after being stuck for 2 years, or that a lot of people are doing really well financially, though. In our survey, I didn't share it with you, but there's a whole bunch of questions about how people are feeling about their incomes and their future financially, and things are strong. So I'm going to say it's a headwind for sure, but it doesn't seem like one that's going to blow the ship off course, because there's so many other things pushing travel sentiment forward. That makes sense?
If I could just add a comment, I do think in our future surveys, though, we should be talking about it a little bit more to get a better sense, because, I mean, who you were interviewing was obviously a higher level earner as well. And, we get all walks of life from the travel industry. So I think it would be important to understand what demographic it is affecting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mayor? That's you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On your next to last slide on the COVID-19, I don't know if you can bring that back up.
I can do that. think I can do that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it was in the next to the last slide.
This the one, sir?
No. The graph with importance versus St. Pete Clearwater's rating.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
COVID-19.
thought, forgive me. This one?
That one,
Yeah.
yes. So how do we interpret the fact that the COVID-19 health and safety protocols are important, but we're rated poorly? Do they not like our COVID protocols? Or is it that we don't have enough
Yeah,
robust COVID protocols?
I don't know if the survey is adequate to assess at that level of detail. What I would say is that at the point in time when we took the survey, travelers were feeling that they weren't willing to give you guys a good rating for COVID travel safety protocols. Another thing I would add is we really need to understand that people don't know a lot about the world we're in. And that sounds weird, but we're all busy with our everyday lives. We're not thinking about, I'm not sitting here thinking about what COVID protocols are in Oklahoma City. But if you ask me, I'd have some vague notion of how I feel about the place. And I think that's what we're seeing here, some representation of a vague notion of what's going on down here, if that makes sense.
That it's important, but we're not doing it right.
If something's going on where people are feeling that you're not doing it right.
And
Yeah.
did that apply to other Florida destinations? Do you have
Only
that
asked
info?
about you. I can't say that, but my speculation from all the work we've been doing would be that it's because of your association with the state. Yeah, that would be what I would think.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Williams? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dave, great presentation. Thank you very much. Any chance we can get a copy of this?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great.
If you want any more detail, just holler. I'll get it
Okay.
for you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Clyde.
Mr. Chair. This is kind of more for Steve. Is this information being actively used by the strategic planning group? Because what we just learned here just ties so much into the workshops we did with that.
Answer is yes. It's also being used by our marketing partners as well. And I was going to hold comment to everything else was done, but I can talk about it at that time.
Mr. Kimball?
Yeah, Steve, I sit here and you think of this as a domestic survey and all because the Canadians and the Europeans and South Americans are not here. How do we go forward in knowing a market that was 1 million visitors out of Europe, what they're thinking and how we go forward? And is this market going to become back half or all, or what level of income and so forth? Do we have any plans in this area, whether it's Canada or the other one? We've had good times, but there's a market, two or three markets out there that I'm not sure about.
Mr. Kimball, that's a great question. At this time, I don't have anything planned. However, given the fact that we've got 2 new entities helping us in Europe as well as in the UK, is get with them and see, is there any data that they have, that could help substantiate what's happening? What does Visit Florida have? And then I think the other element to this is, and we can get with Dave and his team, is there any way we can apply this international? I.e., the surveys, and Dave, when were the surveys done?
At the end of the summer.
In the
for
summer,
this
okay.
last survey. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were all online, correct?
Correct.
So it's a matter of, will they have a database that can reach into the UK market or the German market or Swiss, or pick all those and then go through and ask the same types of questions. That's for the brand. And then for the visitor profile, as we start to see those visitors come back, then that should start to be popping up on the economics and the visitor profiles for the annual.
The second question I have about is for the larger hotels, meetings and conventions are a major part. And that's coming back. Is there any studies that we are doing specifically for that market or any other market that this gets broken down into another step? Or can be?
Unless Dave's able to go through and do a subset out of his group, because meetings and conferences was brought up, we would have to rely upon some of the partners on the MNC side, meetings and conferences side, to see what data they have, like North Star. That may be more specific to the southeastern Florida, that may not be specific to St. Pete, Clearwater.
Further questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I hope I articulate this the way it's in my head. Anyway, amazing presentation. Obviously, a lot of work went into it. We're taking a very small subset of responders and applying it into a very big picture. So what I'm trying to understand, like for instance, when we talked about conventions, that ranked really low. So, you know, when we're talking about a small subset of participants, 1,600 participants in various locations throughout the year, like it makes me kind of wonder, where were you? Who were they? Most people don't stop and answer questions. You know, like, you know, how narrow of a focus group are we getting that we're applying to this big picture? And even like on the website, like where did they find the website? Did they just Google it and get to the website, or how did they actually get to the website and they made it down to that 4,000 and then still answered the survey? And so it kind of makes me wonder, when I saw the conventions, that there was such a low percentage of participation. So I appreciate, Steve, you saying that there's another avenue we can get that information from. Because obviously we did really well this year. We had a lot of folks coming. So, you know, to I'm so used to that. Welsh's statement about the COVID, if we've had that kind of an increase, people are coming in droves. Who was it that was saying that they were, you know, that was a weak area? You know, so I'm just trying to analyze it, and maybe probably too much.
Not at all.
But
It's
I'm just
good to
trying
think
to
about these things,
really
yeah.
kind of, you know, because we're going to take this information and we're going to apply it, you know, to our strategic plan moving forward.
Yeah, I'll just say, as a researcher, my whole job is to try to get a representative sample. So Stephanie and her team work really hard at trying to do their best to get that representative sample, a group of people that reflect the overall population. There's obviously no perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, in any survey, but you do the best you can, and unless there's some issue that goes on, you take it for what it is. In terms of the conventions and meetings market, I mean, last year was a horrific year. So I would expect this year that proportion will grow substantially. And we'll actually take into account that and when we do our economics and reweight the data if we need to, if it's underrepresented. So.
No, and I think it's got to be tough. I mean, because a lot of folks don't want to answer the surveys, don't
some don't,
follow the process all the way down to make that final 4,000 or whatever. And so, you know, I was just trying to kind of get your understanding on how do we take this segment and, you know, apply it to big numbers and strategic planning accordingly.
One of the ways you can deal with it as a researcher is weighting. So if you find the end result of what you get when you collect your data doesn't represent what it should, you can reweight the data. So, you know, guys in tan coats, guys in dark coats, you know, we could give him a little more weight if we knew that there were more of him in the population than. So that's one trick you use, but not to pick on coats. So, yeah.
Thanks for putting up with that. I was just trying to understand it to, really absorb it properly. So thanks.
Thank you.
Further questions? I had a few, a couple just observations. The one, I was a little surprised at the LGBT being on that side of the bar, considering the amount of emphasis that we've put on that in recent years and the activities and everything else that happens in Pinellas County. And I don't know if that was a negative or comparatively a negative kind of thing to the other things that they did see as positives for us?
I'm not sure I understand, sorry.
On the one chart,
yeah.
maybe it's the next slide, there was, keep going, nope. There you go. Popular destination. I guess I would have thought that would have been a little bit more to the right,
Yeah.
based on what we've been doing. But
If we looked at this by people who identify as LGBTQ or other, it might be different too.
Sure.
Yeah, you know.
Did we look at anywhere in there, because one of the fascinating things I've heard is from some of our hoteliers is that we have the land cruisers, the folks that want to go on a cruise and can't, and so that's why some of our audience that have been coming to beach destinations, and if because of COVID they're choosing somewhere differently than they would have chosen, and the fact that this was taken last summer, certainly, I mean that's a lifetime ago in the world of COVID.
Yeah.
As people's attitudes. So I'd be interested to know, once all their options are open, once all those markets open, how do we rate in their desire? And that Orlando one, where it was, people wanted to go and went. I mean, anyone who's got kids went to Orlando more than they wanted to go to Orlando. So that was like, I have no desire to go to Orlando. I've been 10 times in that chart. But, and then maybe I'm just not asking you questions. I'm just throwing out my thoughts of what I'm seeing on your slides. The one question I did have is on the website part. I didn't see in there a rating of like more or less likely to go because of the website when you ask the people who use the website.
Yeah, I didn't put that data in. The survey, I hope I'm answering your question, but there are a whole bunch of questions that lead down through that path of filtering. One very similar to what you're saying. I just didn't feel I had time to present. It's certainly in the report if you want to look through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I can get it for you.
That's to me the real value of the website, because everyone has a website, and what was the difference maker on our website that kind of pushed the needle of whether the options were visible for them, or there was some attraction that they saw on the website, or was the actual physical usability of the website.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that gets into how the real impact of how much we spend on the website.
I'll tell you, we do a ton of website usability studies, and I think you're onto something really important.
Absolutely.
To be prudent in terms of the timing, because he probably could have spent, I would say, a good 45 minutes on each one.
Absolutely.
Just because of some of the data that's there. We really wanted to hit some of the top level things. Under the perception related to that, thing that we're going to do, because it is in time. So talking about pandemic in the during that summertime, early fall time period, that was a given point in time. We will do it again so that we can go back and look at markets, we can look at audiences, we could look at reasons for travel, all of these different things in terms of how people see us, and see what's moved, up, down, sideways, whatever it ends up being. Second is, as this is a baseline, it gives us a starting point. So after this, we can go back and measure and see how we're doing. So example, Clyde, what you brought up in terms of even strategic plan, message content. If you looked at some of the parts where they don't feel familiar with us, this year we've been taking some different content out. Now that's been this year, as in this fiscal year, and so we've made some of those changes. Is that having an impact in some of these markets? So it's, again, we're going to keep doing this because we've got a baseline. We're going to see what that change is. Like I said, this has been shared with our marketing partners, and then let them know, hey, going forward, how are we going to move the needle? Because again, it's great to see the fact that Nashville's up there. It reconfirms some of the things that we're doing. And you know what? We need to keep a strong presence there. But, if you go back and, if Boston's a market we need to be going after and they're unfamiliar with us and it's still a market, then it shows we've got work to do. What does that look like? So it really helps from the messaging standpoint and what have you. So again, good information to have as we go forward. It also helps us as we start to develop priorities within the budget of what we need to go through and do. And then on the website ROI, that information as well is useful. And I give you a great example is that we're going through and the site was completely redone last year. We actually are now revamping some of the subsections of it to match the format that we have, but also to ensure that we have all the right information there. We'll go back and survey that again as well. So again, it helps us in developing what we're doing, whether we need to continue things, change it, whatever it ends up being. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention, this information is so valuable. And again, a lot of it is a snapshot in time. The visitor profile for the year talks about the value to our communities and what Dave and his team to be the conscience, so to speak, of what we're doing. And that's why, even on the brand perception, we upped the number of surveys to 4,000. So we would get a broader sample, more than you statistically need. And this wasn't with Dave, but a previous firm that I've worked with, when he explained statistically how you can derive data from X amount of survey, plus or minus error, like the visitor profile that we do, which
Profile would probably be about 3.2 on the top line. Yeah.
So the 3.2 error percentage up or down from one of those numbers, that's pretty strong. And then, so those are once we have it, then it gives us, some confidence in that information and going forward. So again, thank you for indulging us today. I know this was a long presentation. And on that, I will forego most of my comments related to destination metrics because there's so much of this data. If there's full report that you want, please let us know. We have that. Again, those are going to be huge files, but we'll find a way to get it to everybody. So,
No, I think it's time well spent this morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Bratton. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Item number 7, Elite Event Guidelines Approval. Mr. Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just on the Elite Event Guidelines, you should have received 3 documents. One of those was a clean version of meetings. You should also have one that has red and blue lines of what's been added or taken out. And then basically, because that was at that time.
But the red
instead of that.
The dotted line with the yellow dot is 2021, and then the black solid line with the blue dot is 2022. So you can see where we are ahead of 21, but also 19. So. And what'll be interesting, and then if I go back and look and how does that compare, really it goes back to a little bit of occupancy, a little bit of ADR, and then throw in there vacation rentals, and the increases we've seen there, so really threefold. And then again, of the occupancy and ADR, ADR is probably tops first, and then you have occupancy from there. Questions on TDT?
Mayor Welch?
Are you going to touch on the spring baseball issue and where we think that's going?
Yes, a great question. So the question is spring training happening? And any conversations that I've had is there's been no comment on it. And I think because given the, I don't know, the impasse they have between players and what have you, they can't really talk about it. So no one's come up and even whispered to say, yeah, don't worry, it's going to happen, or it's going to happen 2 weeks later or a month later. We were talking yesterday at a luncheon, and somebody brought up, well, if they move it and it comes up into April, then that might be after normal spring travel, so that might be a positive. But again, have not heard one way or the other at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor Bujalski?
Doing with this thing?
Just hit it once. There you go.
Okay. I'll just say that so far, what we've been told is that whenever this thing is over, that they're likely going to jump into the schedule that was originally planned. So if it comes in the middle of March, they'll do the games that were from that point on, but they're not like starting over. That's what I've been told so far. That could change 1,000 times, but so I don't think they would take the whole spring training and pitcher and catcher practice and all the stuff that they normally are doing right now. I don't think they're just going to pick it up and move it. I think they're going to enter in, because too many things are around that. So,
Mayor Hibbard?
I would agree to an extent. I mean, I think we will get some type of spring training whenever the season starts, from what I've been told by talking to people internally. They still have to get players in shape and go through a process. It just may be shortened compared to what we're accustomed to, and that has happened one other time. So I think they'll follow the same model. At least that's what's been expressed.
Okay. Do we have a updated ADR?
Yes, in your packet of information would have the ADR for hotel, and on that we are up, let me see, I'm sorry. On that we are up, we're at 160, we're at 168 compared to 118, if that gives you an idea. And I can tell you in talking with some folks, looking ahead, especially as we get into March and April, whatever we did last year, I see ADR up above that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know where 168 is right now, but let me know. I'll book a room.
Well, and keep in mind, that is, from Smith Travel, that's everything from high-end resort all the way down to a limited service property on 19.
Right. No, I know. I always, the data is incredible, and I always compare it to what I've experienced or what my people have experienced. And if you can find somewhere in downtown St. Pete in the next 6 months for 168, move there. Mr. Henderson.
I was a little confused looking at that, and I just realized why. Because they're all fiscal years. So when you're looking at December, you're really looking at December 18 and 19 on the blue and the orange on the graph, right?
Yes.
Just in case anybody else thought it was a little peculiar, that's why.
Versus calendar year. If I might, on ADR, ADR and occupancy. So every week we get a report looking at weekly data from Smith Travel, again, looking just at hotels. And one of the reports is the top 25 markets in the United States that Smith Travel, or STR, goes through and measures. And so on that, I went and pulled that information. They say Tampa on it, but it's really the Tampa Bay region. So it's both Pinellas and Hillsborough together. And then I get a report that has just for St. Pete Clearwater. So looking at the week of January 31st, so just a couple of weeks ago, that week, and you look at occupancy, we were third in the top 25 markets in occupancy. Ahead of us was the region, and ahead of that was Miami. If we look at ADR, we were third in the United States, with first being Miami, second being Oahu Island in Hawaii, and then third, St. Pete Clearwater. So, Chairman, that kind of goes back to what you were saying on the ADR. So, and again, watching that, because this has markets in there like LA, Orlando, San Diego, Phoenix, Boston, Chicago. I mean, think of all the major cities. So even when you look at the Southeast, look at Florida, that week was an extremely good week. And so again, we go through and monitor that on a weekly basis. And the last thing I wanted to bring, or next to last thing I wanted to bring up is, I think I mentioned to you last meeting that we were about to have customers in town for Florida Huddle and Florida Encounter, which hits the international market as well as the meetings market. We ended up having 52 customers that spent 3 days with us before they went over to the conference that was held in Tampa. And while it was not the most ideal thing in terms of what we consider ideal weather, for instance, Mr. Kimball's group hosted a wonderful beach event, of which I was in a jacket, going through jeans, gloves, scarf. I could tell who our out-of-town guests were because they were in shorts. But again, it was so great to see people again in our market, to interact with them, show them what we have, variety of things. And again, when I say customers, we had a group from UK, we had another group from the US and Canada, we had another group from Latin America, and we had a meetings and conference group here. So again, all of those getting to experience this area before they went over, and it went off extremely well. So to the staff did a bang-up job to make that happen, but more importantly, our industry partners helped make that happen. Then the last thing I wanted to bring up is in the March meeting, we will have a presentation from both Miles and BVK, looking at our messaging and advertising for the next 6 months. Again, it was a commitment we made that we would share where, the what, the messaging, and we've divvied it up over a 6-month time period to adjust for any things that might be happening in the marketplace. So they'll have a presentation, so that'll last probably about a half hour, maybe 45 minutes. And then potentially there is a new data source that we want to share that replaces one of the groups that looks at arrival data. And so we want to be able to go through and show you that. And then, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we'll start the discussion on the capital program and move forward from there. So, Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hayes, those were great statistics. I want to make sure I understand what you were saying. Were we third? St. Pete Clearwater was third in occupancy growth?
Well, occupancy total.
Behind Miami and Oahu?
No, we were behind the region and Miami in occupancy, and we were behind Miami and Oahu in ADR.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Further questions? Yes, sir.
How is Visit Florida doing in the legislature and the governor's budget? Are they in a good position relative to last time we talked about this?
Thanks to the leadership of their CEO, Dana Young, I think they have really positioned themselves well. I believe if the last thing I saw, they were set at 50 million, both House, Senate, and I believe the governor's office. So they're all in unison with that. In addition, there was always the fight about the sunset language. On that one, I believe it'll be changed to 5 years versus redoing this on every 2-year basis.
Anyone else? All right. Anything else, Mr. Hayes?
No, sir.
All right. Board member comments for the good of the order.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the new facilities.
No, I think hopefully this works out for everyone's travel. I can tell you the county commissioners, we love being back to our home a little bit, so it's wonderful, and the staff did a wonderful job creating it. So if there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.